Hello, madam and everyone. Today, our group will represent on Stone and Webster case study, the company that built America. May I introduce myself? I'm Caroline Nandi, and my fellow teammate was Farah Alia, Eliziana, Nur Ezafazina, and Nur Khalida. Stone and Webster is a century-old group of integrated and interdependent engineering, construction, and consulting business. Stone and Webster was founded in Boston and founded as an electrical testing lab and consulting firm by Charles S. Stone and Edwin S. Webster. Several years later, this company diversified into several niches of business such as building, construction, power plant, and engineering itself. Due to major number of projects, Stone and Webster decided to form their first subsidiary, named as Stone and Webster Engineering Corporation. In 1942, the company became involved in Manhattan Project, and in 1975, the company selected as to build the Clinch River nuclear plant. During this year, the company also already goes to public. CEO calls the chairman, who is resigned only 3 months on duty. In 2000, the company faced liquidity problem, which caused the company fall into sudden bankruptcy. Due to this problem, Stone and Webster was acquired by Shaw Group, and in 2003, Stone and Webster emerged from bankruptcy, and this is happened because of good leadership of Shaw Group. The governance issue in Stone and Webster. Since establishment until 1993, the company met all the rules of accounting disclosure, but the number hide the true story. The failure of core business was discussed by contribution of income from other sources. The second governance issue in Stone and Webster is the board responsible to select the management, ensure that they have the right to success, but Stone and Webster board does not fulfill this function, and their board does not functioning well. Until the late 1993s, there was no nomination committee, and this will cause the company does not have a focus that can bring on the fresh non-executive director. In 1994, the Lens found out that company performance does not seem unfair, so the shareholder used the right of shareholder to file a lawsuit against the company.
Here is our discussion question. 1. Why is the establishment of nominating committee is important? 2. What is the right of shareholders in the company, and is it necessary to protect the shareholders' agreement as their right to direct the company? 3. What are the key responsibilities for the board to make them functioning? 4. This company has disclosed all their information regarding their financial statements. Here is our discussion objective. 1. To emphasize the importance of nominating committee. 2. To identify the right of shareholders and to clarify whether it is necessary to protect the shareholders' agreement as their right in a company. 3. To identify the best practices board functioning. 4. To investigate whether this company has disclosed all their information regarding their financial statements.
Literature review and application to the case of Stone and Webster. Firstly, the importance of the establishment of nominating committee. Paragraph 15.08a of Bursa listing requirements mandates the establishment of the nominating committee, which should comprise exclusively of non-executive directors, a majority of whom must be independent. Establishing a nominating committee is essential to ensure that there is structured oversight process in recruiting, retaining, training, and developing the best available executive and non-executive directors, that board renewal and succession are managed effectively. The nominating committee should establish clear and appropriate criteria on the selection and recruitment, as well as on the annual assessment of directors of the board and board committees. Such criteria should be developed taking into consideration the suitability of candidates against considerations such as competencies, commitment, contribution, and performance, including the current composition of board and board committees, mix of skills and experience of directors, whilst taking into account the current and future needs of the company, boardroom diversity, and other soft attributes required as company directors. According to the MCCG Practice 4.7, the nominating committee is chaired by an independent director or the senior independent director. An independent director may be from a human resource background and having gained experience and insights in recruitment, sociology, and the dynamics of boardroom relationship could contribute more effectively as the nominating committee chairman. Hence, the chairman may lead the annual review of board effectiveness, ensuring that the performance of each individual director is assessed objectively and holistically. Based on the case of Stone and Webster, there is no nomination committee up until 1993. Hence, there was lack of independent non-executive directors that bring a new insight to the company, which lead to a business failure. They got more conservative as they receive more money from their business without any precautions on the risks they face since their highly profitable nuclear business was dead. In the view of McCabe and Nowak 2008, independent directors should be resourceful with relevant knowledge, technical expertise, having ability to provide insight, possess strong interpersonal skills, and good reputation in order to better contribute and add value to the firm. Therefore, by having nominating committee which mostly comprise of independent director may cater this issue. The absence of nominating committee caused the board member to remain whole position as the director of the company even though the director did not perform well and unethical. In 1994, a proxy had revealed that Peter Grace, who was 80 years old man that worked for half of century with the company, did not attend about 75% of meetings convened by the company. If there is a nominating committee, then Peter Grace should be recommended by the committee to be removed and ensure a proper person to be appointed as a director of the board.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning to our lecturer, Madam Sapura, and all my fellow classmates. My name is Nur Eza Fazlina binti Abdul Basit, and I will proceed with the next slide, which is protecting the right of shareholder. So what is right of shareholder? Corporate governance is the system of rules and responsibilities delegated to several groups within a corporation as well as procedure on handling corporate matters. One of the groups is shareholders is given certain rights as owners of corporation. These rights are protected by law, and honoring them is one of the objectives in corporate governance. This is the several rights of shareholder. The first one, right to vote attached to the share, right to receive notice of meeting of the members, rights to appoint another person as proxy, to attend, participate, speak and vote at the meeting's member, right to question, discuss and make recommendation on the management of company, right to receive dividends declared by the company, right to apply the court to restrain the company, right to take an action against the company or directors, right to take or defend the action in the name of the company, and lastly, right to take the drastic step and petition to wind up the What is shareholder agreement? A shareholder agreement is an agreement involving all or some of the shareholders in a corporation as indicated by its name. It sets out the specifics of relationship between the shareholders and the company's management. Shareholder agreements are related to shareholder control as well as shareholder protection. The way the business is managed also regulated by them. Shareholder agreement is used in tandem with Article of Association of the company. So why shareholder agreements are necessary? A shareholder agreement is an agreement between company shareholders that provides details on the rights, responsibilities, and privilege given to the shareholders of the company. It is also outlines how it is planned that business will be set up and run. Shareholders agreement also reduce the effect of any conflicts that could affect businesses by clarifying how such issues will be addressed, as well as offering a means for any potential disputes to be resolved. So next I will proceed with case analysis with literature review for rights of shareholders. As for the case study, the Lance, shareholder of this company, wants to postpone the meeting because the company notice of meeting and financial statement to the shareholder were not properly reported. Although the records already available but not completed because the management was manipulating the financial statement. Then the company decided postpone its annual meeting to allow a proxy contest or the appeal of no votes to the Board of Election. And lastly, as Lance found Stone and Webster performance unfair, Lance used the right as a shareholder to file the case, asking the court to suspend Chess as an employee stock ownership plan ESOP trustee because it had refused to vote on the shares for the exclusive benefit of the employee members. At the end, Lance was successful in an effort to secure access to internal company documents. That's all for me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nur Khalida binti Muhammad Katan and I will present the next discussion question. The discussion question is what are the key responsibilities for the board to make them functioning? The objective is to identify the best practice board functioning. We move on to the literature review. As stated in practice 1.1 of MCCG of the board should set strategic aims, value and standard to ensure the company meets its objective and review management performance. While under Section 211 Subsection 1 of Company Act 2016 stated that the business and affairs of the company should be managed by or under direction of the board. And Section 211 Subsection 2 of the Company Act 2016 also stated that the board has all the powers necessary for managing and directing and also supervising the management of the business. A board should ensure that the company's capability and resources are sufficient to manage uncertainties, which strategic plan should be flexible by scanning the business environment consistently and keep abreast of change that can help to achieve strategic objective. And they also can invite subject matter experts to address the board and senior management. So the key responsibilities responsibility of the board itself to ensure that the strategic plans of the company to support long-term value creation and includes strategies on economic, environmental, and social consideration underpinning sustainability. So the second key responsibility is to review, challenge and decide on management proposal for the company and monitor its implementation by management. And the last one is supervise and assess management performance to determine whether the business itself is being properly managed or not. So, the composition of the board remains a key ingredient influencing how the board functions. In practice, 4.1 is stated that at least half of the board comprising independent directors. It also stated as in paragraph 15.02 of Bursa listing requirement requires that at least a third of the board is independent and 2 directors whichever is higher. We move on to the next chapter to relate the literature review and also the case study. I can conclude that Stone and Webster board was not capable of fulfilling the function of the board to select management and ensure they have right strategy for their success. And also, Stone and Webster also have 3 inside directors and 9 of them are outside directors, and none of the outside directors was a full-time executive in either business or finance. Their senior manager also served at least 25 years for the company, and all the arrangement itself was not a majority of independent outside directors on the board. So that's all from me.
For the literature review, a practice that relates with the accounting manipulation is by establishing audit committees, whereas their function is to have a thorough and detailed review about audit matters. Audit committee also have an ultimate responsibility in reviewing audit matters such as approving the annual report and financial statement before submission to the board. To relate with the laws or corporate governance practice, Malaysian Code on Corporate Governance (MCCG) 2017 is highlight about the audit matters. In MCCG 2017, Principle P stated that the effective audit and management, whereas Practice 10.1, the audit committee should ensure that the internal audit function is effective and able to function independently. And for Practice 10.2 also relate with the effective audit and management, whereas the board should disclose whether the internal audit function is carried out in accordance with a recognized work. Okay, to relate with the Stone and Webster don't have audit committee. Because they don't have audit committee, the company manipulate the employees' benefit funds such as pension funds. The participants in the plan did not become completely vested until they had been workers for about 10 years. It means that they have been worked more than 10 years and a few jobs lasted that long. The account also did not stated a profit of 2 million, which was that it benefited from a pension fund surplus of $40 million in loans or 5% of the company's gross earning. The second is board duties. Subdivision 1 in Companies Act 2016 is highlight about financial statement and report, whereas it involved the section 245 and section 248. In section 245, subsection 1, subsection A of Companies Act 2016 is highlight about the account to be kept. This section stated that a company, the directors and managers of a company shall cause to be kept the accounting and other records to sufficiently explain the transaction and financial position of the company and enable true and fair profit or loss accounts and balance sheets that any document required to be attached there to be prepared. And in section 248 of Company Act 2016, it's highlighted about the director shall prepare financial statement, whereas it stated that the directors of every company shall prepare financial statement. From the case study of Stone and Webster, the director itself unable to keep the accounting financial position in true and fair manners, whereby they misuse of the pension fund for reducing operating expenses by a total of 101 million and makes the company loss of money.
In the end, an effective leadership and good management system can lead to a better future of the company. This is what Shaw Group showed to us. 3 years after the acquisition, the Stone & Webster able to pay their debt and emerge from the bankruptcy. And Stone & Webster now become part of global leader with revenue 3.3 billion and still continue the businesses all across the world.